we shine on the line. We all over the world, Chatnite Africa. Chatnite Africa. We all over the world, Chatnite Africa. Chatnite Africa. Welcome to Chatnite, the only place that we give you good vibes. Chatnite Africa.
Chatnite Africa. Let's gang up, change mindset, and empower Africans. Are you ready? Africa to the world.
And now, live from the headquarters of Chatnite Africa, Divine.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to this edition of Voices of Africa at Chatnite. In a moment, we have a powerful content for you. When the president of the Cameroon Football Federation, FECAFOOT, Mr. Samuel Eto'o, lashed out at the players of the national team, the Indomitable Lions, after the dismal performance against Burundi only a few months to the Qatar World Cup, it got people talking and loud. Those against Samuel Eto'o called him arrogant. Some accused him of trying to usurp Coach Song Bahanak's role, and others said his virulent criticism was ill-timed. Whether you are for or against the FECAFOOT president, whether you like football/soccer or not, if you employ people, if you manage or lead people, if you work for someone or simply want to start a business, you will find this broadcast very, very important.
We love Chatnite Africa. Keep watching Chatnite Africa.
How do you lead people or an organization without coming across as a tyrant? This question and more ahead, and invited to answer is corporate leadership trainer, coach, and entrepreneur, Dr. Joybert Javnyuy. Please join me now in welcoming Joybert on the platform.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Good to be here again.
Good to see you, Mr. Remarkable. I like to call you Mr. Remarkable. Yes, you are Dr. Joybert Javnyuy. I like to call you Mr. Remarkable. Thank you for accepting yet another invitation to Voices of Africa on Chatnite Africa.
Thank you so much for having me and for inviting me to have a chat with you about this topic.
And I'd like to inform everybody that the leadership coach, trainer, coach, entrepreneur, business guy, Dr. Joybert Javnyuy is connecting live from the economic capital of Cameroon. Am I right, Douala?
Definitely, in Douala.
Good. My name is Divine Chamakong, and I'm anchoring this broadcast from Washington, D.C. metropolitan area. The first question, Mr. Joybert, Dr. Joybert Javnyuy, how do you lead people? And even before I get to that, when you watched the FECAFOOT president, the president of the Cameroon Football Federation, Mr. Samuel Eto'o, lashing out, slamming his players, the players of the national team in the locker room, what came to your mind?
What came to my mind as an entrepreneur is a leader who feels frustrated after a poor performance from people, maybe from a team that he was expecting so much from them. And as a leader, you get to find yourself in difficult situations. So a lot of things ran through my mind as far as that particular action is concerned. I began to ask my question, where is he coming from? Where is he right now? And where is he going as far as leading the FECAFOOT body is concerned? So I did not approach the situation as judging him, but I was looking at it from diverse perspective, because being a leadership position, for a leader to act like that, there are different elements that can culminate to that particular position. And those are some of the things I'll be bringing out here for us to understand what happened at that particular day.
You said there are different elements that would culminate in a situation, in a reaction like that. Do you think that there are certain things that were in the background, going on in the background, that we did not see, that made Samuel Eto'o react, come out that forceful?
Yes, definitely. Now, before we focus on that, I would like to lay a background about the traditional types of leadership. Then I mention a couple of things so that we could understand where I am taking us to. Now, looking at Samuel Eto'o from the day he picked out, the day he was elected to become the president of FECAFOOD, there are a couple of things that has happened. In leadership, in a corporate leadership or institutional leadership, we can talk about democratic style of leadership. This is a style where the leader gets to seek opinion from other people before they lead. And if you look at Samuel Eto'o, when he became president of FECAFOOD, you will notice that many former players have been around the current players a lot in different competitions. And I think in that particular case, he has been seeking opinion and advice from different people. And if you notice that this same Eto'o has been having a lot of meetings with different stakeholders regarding his leadership as far as the football governing body is concerned in Cameroon. There is also transformational leadership. A leader can also practice transformational leadership when he wants to focus on constantly improving the institution's objectives, processes, and the way the institution works. If you are somebody who follows Samuel Eto'o very well, you will notice that since he took over FECAFOOD, he has taken a lot of action to cause transformation in the policies, processes, and the way the team functions. There's also servant leadership. A servant leader focuses a lot on their time and energy in ensuring that the team members feel professional and they feel personally fulfilled. If you watch some of the videos during the African Cup of Nations, anytime that the players were leaving the hotel to the stadium, Eto'o was always there with them to welcome them at the reception, shake their hands, encourage them, tell them the importance of representing the national team and the national colors. There is also the coaching leadership style. This is where the coaching leader is someone who identifies the strengths and the weaknesses of the players or the team members, and he will do his best to inspire the team to pursue continuous improvement so they can bring out their best. When they were supposed to face Algeria, Eto'o went to Algeria and trained with the team. Remember, he's an icon. He's a legend. He's one of the world's best players in the same field. That action alone, that coaching leadership style alone can inspire the young players to put in their best to become better. Then the last option is transactional leadership. And this is what has happened in the last game. Transactional leadership is when the leader is mainly focused on performance. I have given you money. I have given you the best resources. I have given you all the support you need. Now I need results. Why did you fail me? Now, if you look at Eto'o's leadership style, you have seen that in different circumstances, he has embodied all of these styles I have explained to you. So, the transactional reaction that he had with the team is just a leader who has given out the best. And maybe he's expecting a lot from the team, and he did not get what he's expecting. And that is what a good manager does. In management, you are a bad manager if you use a lot of money in any project and don't bring out the best result without any significant excuse that anybody can pinpoint and say, look, this was beyond your human capacity. And we understand that this is an act of God, and we know why you failed. But if you invest money and resources and you fail without significant reason, something is wrong with their leadership, with their administration, and with their management. So looking at all of that, You now see why I said all that particular action did not just happen overnight. It's a culmination of other activities and leadership that has brought into that particular perspective and reaction.
Dr. Javnyuy Joybert, a lot of people don't disagree that the performance of the national team against the Burundian side was terrible. But what they don't agree with, where they don't agree with Eto'o is his manner of talking to the players. Did you have a problem there?
I didn't have a problem with that.
Why not?
Somebody needs to hold a team of people accountable. Even the US president needs to hold his staff accountable for results. Somebody in any institution that produces results must always stand up and make a firm decision. This is where, if that kind of thing doesn't happen, laissez-faire leadership now steps in. Laissez-faire leadership style is when the leader doesn't care whether you are producing results, whether you are doing well. They don't care at all. It's like a nation with no president. So I looked at that action from the place of a leader who is holding the team members accountable. I would have had a problem if he was not coming from somewhere. He is coming from a place whereby he had been a servant, he had been a coach, he has been somebody who wants to support the team to produce the best result. I would have had a problem if he was a terrible leader, if he has a track record of being terrible, and now at this particular time he expects the best from the team when he has not invested the best in the team. It is in this, we have had situations whereby national team players used to be angry that their bonuses and their prime de match has not been paid on time. The question is, since Eto'o came to power, have you heard that kind of complaint before? We have not heard. So when you give the best to the team, you expect the best from them. And if they don't give out the best, somebody must hold them accountable for their actions. The whole country could not go and hold the team accountable. We need a leader to hold the team accountable. If not, they will see it as laissez-faire and they will still perform at that particular level of performance. But the good news is, after that particular action, we have seen reactions from the players, the people concerned. So I feel that Cameroonians, we are very good at reacting and criticizing a lot of things without detailing, analyzing, and looking at where is this coming from, where are we right now, and where are we going to. And we need to also bear with Eto'o that he has a goal, the World Cup finals. So when you are a leader and you are under pressure to achieve certain things, you as human, you can also react in certain ways because you are under pressure to achieve a particular goal.
Here is what teacher Fonkam says. Well, not in front of cameras. Those players are adults and adults too and deserve respect. They didn't lose the game anyway. How do you react to that?
The question is, has Eto'o not been respecting these players? The question is, what do you call disrespect? The question is, the players who were in that particular room, did they feel that they needed somebody to hold them accountable for their actions, or they needed somebody to stay quiet after that particular match? Every human being needs an accountability partner, needs somebody to remind them that, look, you have done well, but we expect better from you, and we need you to perform better. That match was not only about winning, it was also a training ground. It was also a place for them to prove that they are aware of the upcoming competition as far as the World Cup is concerned.
Here is what Mr. Nusa Dieudonné says. His address to the players was a diatribe, full of pride. He did not identify any specific error. That was destructive criticism. How do you respond? How would you respond to Mr. Nusa Dieudonné?
Now, criticisms comes in different dimensions. Again, the way a leader criticizes and the way you and I can see when we are not in the same position are two different things. I would like many of us to begin to look at this from his shoes and try to empathize to understand certain things. You see, as I said, it's not good to analyze somebody, as I always say in my mother tongue in Lamso, that somebody's one mistake is not their character, right? So you cannot use one act and you generalize about somebody's character and leadership style. That's why for me, when I saw that particular video, my perspective was to analyze his whole leadership journey since he started at the helm of FECAFOOT.
Here is what Father Maurice Aqua says. I read, and I'm reading what he's just written and sent in. I read an article giving light, throwing light that there was a brawl between two players before the match. That is what he was trying to clamp down on.
Good. Again, you see, even we have limited data and information to actually criticize the leadership of Samuel Eto'o in this case. That's a fact. But we are only reacting on this based on the video that we saw. But I want us to put into perspective where this team is coming from when he took leadership and where he desired to take this team to. These elements are very important for us to understand why he acted that particular way.
Do you think that
something very important? We need to understand that Eto'o has been a player in this same national team. And we as citizens, we have read different stories about the problems that plague the national team, from leadership to coaching issues to the Ministry of Sport interfering, FIFA, having all of these issues. I also understand that he is trying to be stern and to be very straight to the point, because he understands that in his time they faced some challenges because there was nobody, maybe in quotes, there was nobody to stand up to certain things and speak the way things should be addressed so that it can contribute to the growth of the team and produce the results that we expect.
Question: if that match against Burundi wasn't taking place 4 months to Qatar World Cup, would the reaction would have been the same?
I think that the reactions wouldn't have been the same, because that's the problem. Eto'o, as the leader of the FECAFOOT, has a goal to perform very well at the World Cup finals. That is his goal. Even me, in leadership, when we have a goal as an institution to make a certain amount of sales in the company, the way that you lead at that particular time is totally different. There is a time when you are expected to be a transformational leader. There's a time when you're expected to be a coaching leader. There's a time when you're expected to be a transactional leader. At this particular point, he is very, very focused on the performance on the team and the kind of results that they can produce. And that is why having synergy in the team where everybody understands that, look, at this particular point, we need to produce results and become good at the way we perform so we can do better at the World Cup.
People have called him arrogant because he talked with his hands in the pocket. Is this a cultural issue? Again, this is why I'm asking the question. I live in the United States. The owner of my company, when he talks with his hands in the pocket, I don't have a problem with that. First, he's my boss. I don't know whether I can take that away from him. Now, are we interpreting things in the African context that there's a way that you comport yourself, even you're a boss? Now, I'm asking you this question because you are a boss, even though, I mean, you call your employees team members, but at the end of the day, you are boss. Do you think that if you talk to them with your hands in your pocket, that's disrespecting your staff?
Now, one thing that we need to start doing as a society is to understand that we live in a very diverse society, very diverse, different cultures. We come from different families, different tribes. We have grown up in different towns and cities and countries. We should not judge people based on our intentions or based on the quality of our understanding only. You see, so I did not even notice that his hands was in his pocket because I don't think that that was the center of it all. I was focusing on what is he saying and what is he looking at achieving with it. So again, to some people, it is wrong. To some people, some will not even pick it out. To some people, it's totally okay to do that. There's a way the Chinese wants to behave, Japanese want to behave, Americans behave, European behaves. We just need to be diverse enough and accommodate people beyond our intentions and our cultural beliefs.
You are watching Voices of Africa.
We love Voices of Africa. Keep watching.
And watching on the platform, or you are watching on the platform, Dr. Joybert Javnyuy. He is a leadership trainer, coach, and an entrepreneur. So that's the person we thought is best placed to assess the leadership style, the talking style, the body language of Samuel Eto'o before his players. Now, when there are times that you have to hold your staff accountable, and would you do that before people, or you call them, talk with them one-on-one? The criticism, why I ask you this question, Dr. Javnyuy Joybert, is that the people say Samuel Eto'o shouldn't have to bring cameras into the room, even if he had to chastise the players.
Yeah. Now, that was where I think that that was like a family meeting. You see, and I think that's where the communications team actually made the error. Again, it's like, somebody will say social media, you only see the good things about people. I think that the communication team did not handle that very well, because looking at the reaction of some of the players after that particular video and it was trending, I don't think that if this video was not public, none of us would have had any idea about what is going on. So the point is how we also communicate as far as our institutions are concerned is very important. The things that, because there is always public pressure. There'll be some players in that particular camp that at that particular time, that particular accountability meeting was not really that serious to them. They were learning and picking up the lessons that Eto'o was giving and emphasizing upon. But since the public now is now putting pressure and sharing the video here and there and giving their points of views, it can actually influence how some players now see this. As I always say, association determines assimilation. But it's important that I think that was a particular kind of meet, because it was just players and members of the technical team, and then maybe the camera people that were there. So I think that the communications team would have made that particular meeting or video to remain as private as possible, so that is handled as a team meeting performance. That was a typical performance meeting. We just finished from a transaction or from a project. Yes, we won the game, but look, based on our capacity, based on the quality of the people in this team, based on where we are going to, I feel that we would have done better. And maybe he's also, a leader knows the team better. The team members that are doing their best to produce their best results and those who are not doing their best. So again, I don't feel that was just a speech out of the blue. That is a lot of things contributed to that particular action or that particular speech, and we need to pay attention.
I want to still recall that Reverend Father Maurice Aqua says he read an article which alleged that there was a brawl between two players before the match. So I can understand probably Eto'o was going to say was putting. Now, is there a time that bringing in cameras as a way of extrapolating, translating, extending the tough talk to the general public is necessary? We have seen Eto'o, we've seen Roger Mila, we've seen Captain Song travel to Europe to bring players, to convince players to come and play for the national team. We've seen them scouting at the local level for players to play for the national team. Could this be a strategy by Eto'o to say, you know what, I'm going to use this occasion, but to speak to the general public, like, look, listen, if you're coming to play here, these are our expectations.
Yes. Yeah, it's also possible. Again, as I said earlier, I think that Cameroonians were too quick to actually judge this video. we have very limited information to actually criticize somebody to face or to speak on behalf of the team. We have very little information. It could also be a plan to send a strong message to whoever is still planning to join the team. When you are coming, we need just one simple thing from you: result, high performance and result. And I want us to understand this very, very well. In every institution that has a future, in every sustainable institution, there is always that particular moment, that particular time where only one thing is important: performance or nothing else. And if the leader is not very conscious, that's why there's something called situational leadership. A good leader practices a lot of situational leadership. He knows when to coach, when to transform, when to mentor, when to motivate, when to provide resources, and when to hold people accountable for performance. And 4 months, or how many months we have to the World Cup, is very limited, and he wants to get the best from anybody who is on the team and is projected to play the particular World Cup. And maybe, according to his strategic plan, according to his action plan, he needs 4 months or less than 6 months to get a good team that has the right mindset, the right body, the right performance, and all of these things to get them to the World Cup. And that's that particular time where nothing is expected from all the team members except high performance.
Is there any good time at any point that you say, hey, look, you know what, this has got to stop? Because some people say Eto'o's tough talk was ill-timed. Is there any good time to do that?
Now, see, there are many things that a leader goes through when it's time to produce results. There are many things. There's a time to provide resources. There's a time to mentor, to coach, to motivate, and all of that. But there is also a time to fire and terminate. Nobody should allow poor performance in a team where you desire better results. We have had a situation whereby we have terminated a staff. We have a situation where we go through. If we talk with you one-on-one, we train you, we coach you, we motivate you, and the result doesn't change, you go your way, we go our way. You're terminated, and we get somebody who can produce the results. Nobody invests money and time into an institution where they don't want to get the best results. And we also need to understand that in our setting, many people are not used to accountability style of leadership. Many people are not used to high performance style of leadership. We are so used to mediocrity. I mean, we live in a country whereby majority of state-owned enterprises and agencies and ministries are basically on average performance. We are so used to mediocrity. We're used to people going late to the office, producing poor results, asking for bribery and corruption and all of that. Now, when somebody brings a different level of standard than what Eto'o is doing, many people are not used to it. And welcoming that kind of leadership, it's a whole problem. That's what I see, because since the time he took office, there are many things that he has done that a standard institution in this country would not actually be doing. That's a fact that we need to accept. And you know, when he started raising the standard of accountability and holding people responsible to produce a certain level of results, and that contributes to culture. This is somebody who has played with some of the biggest teams across the world. You cannot play with Barcelona, Inter Milan, Chelsea, and all of this. These are teams that they don't accept anything but the best. So he's bringing also that experience and that standard of leadership and coaching and accountability to the national team, where they are so used to mediocrity and average kind of performance.
On the video, Dr. Javnyuy, Samuel Eto'o said, nobody's place is carved in stone on the national team. You either come here to perform or jamais les enfants viennent jouer. Does it put undue pressure instead? Does it have, do you see it as a threat? Is it a threat? Some people call it threatening players.
Let me ask you a question, Mr. Divine. If
Yes.
you are paying school fees to your kids and none of them, or one of them, or I don't know how many of them are not doing their best to perform in school, and you keep, you're looking for private teachers, you're paying school fees on time, you're buying logistics and all of that, but they are not putting in the best to produce the results, but they are not communicating with you their challenges they are facing, what will you do?
You have to say, hey.
Exactly.
Enough.
You have to wake up. You have to just wake up and react or act in a way that can send a strong message to them. The question is, in any institution, Fecafoot has a budget. They give players bonuses and all of these things. Why should you invest that kind of money in people and don't get the best results? That is the question.
I have my phone here. If you want to call, dial in and challenge Dr. Joybert Javnyuy, by all means, feel free to do so. We don't come here to run a Chinese parliament or to, yes, where everybody is sending motions of support. You are free to dial in 240-603-7367. If you are overseas, you can go on WhatsApp right now, 001-240-603-7367. 001-240-603-7367. If you are overseas and cannot dial directly, you can go via WhatsApp. Dr. Javnyuy, you have a staff, you coach corporate leaders on leadership, you are a business owner. Are there times that you come to correct your staff and people say, yeah, the boss is correcting us, is lashing out? Could it be that the Cameroonian public, critical of Samuel Eto'o, are putting themselves in the place of the players and feeling just uncomfortable that they are being corrected?
Now, I have had several situations to go to companies in Cameroon to do performance review and appraisal and all of that. And in many situations, I have recommended for termination of contracts. Now, before that happens, there is always a lot of process to go through. You see, you get to review the team, you get to review the investment on the team, you get to review the resources, the tools that they have, the equipment and their commitments and all of that. That is why I believe a lot in having goals for departments, goals for individual staffs and all of that, because that is the best way. Without key performance indicators, you don't know whether the company is growing or not. And you know, that particular match, maybe Eto'o had, and the leadership of the team, maybe they had some KPIs for the team. You know, let us see how the attacking line will do. If this is a growing team, they were facing a team that is not so good as far as maybe football competition is concerned. And maybe they have some KPIs. Look, to see the quality of our attackers, the quality of our midfield and whatever, let us see how many goals that we can score. Because the performance against this team will determine how we are going to perform against Brazil at the World Cup. And you also need to understand that in athletics and in sports, which is almost the same like entrepreneurship, the state of your mind is very important in how you face every project or every competition. If you are not facing any project or competition with a dominant thinking mentality, it can affect your body performance as a person. So sometimes reacting in a certain way, you are trying to instill into the players, into the team, what I like to call the ego's mentality for dominance. Because you need a certain mindset to approach goals and projects and competitions that will spur you to perform at a particular level.
You are watching Voices of Africa on Chatnite.
We love Voices of Africa. Keep watching.
And you can dial the number 240-603-7367. This broadcast is going on YouTube, and the channel is Chatnite Africa. It's on the internet, www.chatniteafrica.net. You can also watch this broadcast live. You don't have to be on Facebook. You can also watch it on LinkedIn. You can watch it on my timeline. You can watch it on our broadcast page. My guest today is Dr. Joybert Javnyuy, connecting live from Cameroon's economic capital, Douala. When you train leaders, corporate leaders, how do you tell them to walk the fine line? How do they walk the fine line of encouraging high productivity, but at the same time, not coming across as a tyrant? I'm afraid, Dr. Javnyuy, from what you say there's no better time to do this, to lash out, to correct. I'm afraid sometimes your staff could think that you're just overbearing.
Yeah, that is why I said earlier that a good leader in this particular dispensation practices a lot of situational leadership. There is a moment where you are a very good coach. You spend time understanding your team, because you also need to know that they are dealing with humans, and humans have weaknesses where they need to improve. And the first step is for you to create a safe environment where people can be vulnerable and open up to you, and you see how you can invest in them to become better. In my office, we try to reduce the word weaknesses, and I encourage them, I ask them, tell me the areas where you want to grow. Because you are human. I don't expect you to be perfect, but I expect you on a daily basis to be consistent and to grow yourself to become a better employee. Again, there also comes a time where after coaching you, after mentoring you, after inviting experts to come and train you, to coach you, to teach you certain skills, there also comes a time where you need to mature, you need to grow and become somebody who can produce results. Because you don't expect the company to keep on investing and investing in you, but you are not bringing back results into the business. There's always that fine line. And leaders need to understand the place of emotional intelligence. There is a time for you to lead as a servant. There's a time for you to hold people accountable, and there is a time for you to hold people according to their performance level in the business. All of these things play a very important role. There are moments to be a Democrat, but there are moments you need to wake up and use your position as a leader to instill certain values and hold people accountable to produce certain level of result. Because as humans, it is very possible for us to develop laissez-faire attitudes, low performance, and somebody needs to wake us up to increase our level of commitment and determination as far as a particular task is concerned. The problem is many people are never comfortable with the issue of accountability. Many people are never comfortable when they are called out and they say, hey, look, you didn't do well. I expected this from you. Many people interpret corrections and accountability to chastisement and punishment and all of that. But in a corporate environment, we need to understand that when you are being disciplined, it's also a sign of care and love, and because the mission expects you to perform at a particular level. That is why sometimes when you terminate a staff, I always tell CEOs, look, if a staff is not performing and producing results, sometimes it is not you who terminated the staff, it is the mission. When you are no longer performing according to what the mission expects from you, the mission can terminate you through a human being called a leader. Because every mission has expectations. Every mission has 5-year goals, 10 years goals, 2050, 2040. And if the people, the human beings, the human resources working for that mission, you cannot perform at a particular level, the mission can terminate you. And that is where the leader wakes up and says, okay, look, you can no longer perform, and I think that you should go your separate way, and we pick up somebody who can produce better results. But that only happens when you have done your part as a leader to invest on the team members. That's why I said earlier, I would have been more critical about Eto'o's reaction if he had a track record of bad leadership. If he had a track record of poor leadership, poor accountability, and if he has not been doing his best to invest in the team, I would have had a very big problem with that. But I believe that this is a leader who is at a transactional level of leadership, after practicing democratic servant leadership, transparent leadership, coaching leadership, and now expects a certain level of performance from the team, and he's now feeling frustrated that the results are not the way he expects.
And again, as we said, there's no good time to do this. Some people are going to call it ill-timed, poorly timed. Some people say, hey, you know what? We've got to do this. We have World Cup just in 4 months, and so we've got to bring down the hammer if we need to. Let me share some experiences. When I just came to the United States, I was working for a company, and my first job was a customer service rep. In our cubicles, we were responsible for taking phone calls from customers. Some were cursing us on the phone, complaining this was not delivered, this went wrong, and so on. But guess what? Every terminal was hooked up to the director's, the customer service director's computer. And so if you hung up on a customer or you were rude to a customer, guess what? As soon as you were getting off the phone, you were called to the director's office. So she was monitoring everything that was coming, all the calls that were coming into the company. And if you continue to be unprofessional, few things happened. You were, told, it looks like you need some training. It looks like it's a friendly conversation. Nobody's screaming at you. It looks like you need some training. And they train you and send you back to your cubicle to continue taking phone calls from customers of the company. If you continue doing it the wrong way, they give you a warning. And the third time, sorry, they tell you it's a business decision. We must part ways. We will be bringing back Dr. Javnyuy Joybert in a moment. Time for us to have a musical interlude. You are going to probably enjoy what we have for you. But until that's done, that song is not coming up. We'll see. I want to bring you something really, really beautiful to listen to. We are off the air. So, sorry. Sorry. We had some technical issues right there. We cannot bring you that, that song. But we are waiting for your phone calls. You can dial in 240-603-7367. 240-603-7367. You are watching Voices of Africa.
We love Voices of Africa. Keep watching.
And as you watch Voices of Africa, we'll be bringing in Dr. Javnyuy Joybert momentarily. He's connecting live from Douala, Cameroon's capital city. And the topic today is, how do you, as a leader, as a manager, ensure high productivity among your staff, the staff of an organization, the organization you lead, without coming across as a tyrant? That is the debate today. And we have our phone here. You can dial the number 240-603-7367, 240-603-7367, and you will be speaking to the entire planet. This Sunday, on Mother's Day, we will be bringing Bishop Caroline Vando. She will be speaking on what it means when the scripture says a woman is a helper, a wife is a helper to her husband. You don't want to miss that rendezvous. That's coming up this coming Sunday on Voices of Africa. That will be on Father's Day. Sometimes fathers don't know that they need help. Sometimes wives get very arrogant when giving the help. So what happens is some form of help could be outright rejected. That question and many more on the broadcast this coming Sunday on Father's Day. And my guest on the show will be Bishop Caroline Vando. We are broadcasting this show live on 3 platforms right now. We have it on LinkedIn. We have it obviously on Facebook. That's where you're watching. Lots of you are watching. We have it on the internet, www.chatniteafrica.net. And obviously we have it on YouTube. We are expecting Dr. Joybert Javnyuy to come in momentarily. He's having connectivity problems, but you know what happens when you are doing these things live from Cameroon. But if he doesn't show up, obviously, at some point, we'll close the program. Thanking all of you for watching. We want to also thank all of you who have been texting Nusa Diodene, Reverend Father Aqua, Maurice Aqua. We want to thank Ze Roger, who is producing this program live from Nigeria. We've agreed that there's no good time to correct people, and correction isn't always taken kindly. I work for somebody, and if you work for somebody, at some point, the owner of the company has got to hold you accountable. The question becomes, before camera, before people, what is respect or disrespect? I will be seeing Dr. Javnyuy very soon. He's trying to connect. His image is not coming through yet, but okay, he's right here. So what is disrespect? If you talk to somebody pocketing your hands and you are the boss, are you disrespecting those who are your collaborators? Now, we're going to bring one more time Dr. Joybert and Javnyuy on the platform.
We love Voices of Africa. Keep watching.
Dr. Javnyuy Joybert, you said the way Cameroonians reacted shines light on the atmosphere, how people think about accountability. Could you explain that further? What areas, what do you observe in Cameroon that people just don't get right? And so when they watch Eto'o trying to hold people accountable, it becomes a problem.
Now, a typical example and this is not just Cameroon, I mean, other countries, Nigeria, many other countries across the continent where, you know, it is, let's take, for example, public projects. How many times have we heard that a government institution wakes up and hold a project team or whoever that is executing a project and holding them accountable for incomplete projects? We have seen roads that money have been disbursed 3-4 times, the road has never been done. We have seen schools, money disbursed for schools, classrooms rebuilt, but it's never been done. Many of these stories are around us. And since it just dies out and nobody wakes up, you know, to hold the particular ministry or the particular agency or division responsible for that, we have grown over time to be used to that. From, you know, coming late to work, and bribery and corruption is still so rampant and growing because, you know, the accountability system of holding civil servants and people in leadership positions to produce the result they're supposed to produce is not at its best. So when people get to see this kind of situations happening, I believe and I feel that this is not something that we are used to. This is not the first time. There have been other national teams across the world that the team coaches and leaders have been so angry at the situation. I think I saw a video or a picture of the France national team having the same kind of issue a few years back, where the football governing body president was there speaking angrily against the poor performance of the team. You see, so I think it's also good stuff, and it doesn't cancel the part.
Okay.
Yes.
But why is that so? You've traveled the length and breadth of Africa. You've been to, God knows, probably all 54 African countries. Why is it such an African problem that people just do what they want and nobody's holding them accountable? When somebody tries to act or bring a new work ethic at the workplace, it becomes a problem. Yeah. Why is that so, and what would it take to change?
That is the power of growing up in a certain culture, growing up and just copying the things that have been there before us. I mean, we have seen situations whereby you try to do the right thing and a fellow Cameroonian will tell you, who are you claiming to be? What are you trying to show us? You understand? You're trying to do the right thing. You're trying to respect. I mean, I've seen, like, let's go to street lights, traffic lights, for example. In Cameroon, when you respect traffic lights, the people behind you, the way they will horn at you to leave and disregard the red light, you'll be so amazed at how people have become so used to disrespecting basic principles of living. The problem is we have not grown up in a culture whereby people just respect traffic lights, for example. It's just that out of many stuff that we get to see happening around us. That is the power of culture and what the current generation or the older generation has transferred to us. And if we are not careful, we're going to transfer the same living standard to the next coming generation. And for that to start happening, citizens need to wake up individually. We need to wake up. And of course, leaders need to start playing their role in speaking against some of these things and enforcing the policies in place. That is why, for that to also happen, we need strong institutions. In Cameroon and many other African countries, we have strong men and women instead of strong institutions. People are afraid of the court precedent instead of being afraid of what the court says. People are afraid of a particular minister instead of being afraid of what the ministry policies and system says. So we also need strong institutions where people know that if you go wrong, an institution will hold you accountable without bothering whether you are from a better family or from a poor family. That's why in Africa, in Cameroon, we have poor people where they find it difficult to benefit from the same services that people who are well-to-do can benefit, because who are well-to-do have the ears of the people instead of respecting the policies or the institutions in place. You see, that is the problem that we are going through. So we need to wake up, and as individuals, I always say this: look, the problems that we are going through in Cameroon is as a result of people being so used to the fact that leaders can do what they want and they can go scot-free with it.
Let me ask you a question. You were in Rwanda, you spent some time in Rwanda. Kigali is now described in Africa as the cleanest city. What are they doing there that Cameroonians are not doing, that Ghanaians are not doing, that other African countries and citizens are not doing? What is so unique about, what's so different about Rwanda and Rwandese?
Rwanda in Kigali, keeping the city clean is everybody's responsibility. The leadership of that country, they have successfully instilled into the people that for Rwanda to be better, it is our collective responsibility. There was a speech I was reading from Kagame, and he said that it is not him or his cabinet that has made Rwanda. It is because everybody has come together on a common ground and have made up their mind to make Rwanda a better country and a better nation for its citizens. That is the difference. A Rwandese does not need to look whether the police is around before they do something that the law states. As long as it is the law, they will respect it because they know that it is for the good of the citizens. That's what we lack in other parts of the world. You see? So it is very important that as people, we need to, I always say that if Cameroon, for example, other African countries, there is a way that citizens can become so good, character-wise, attitude-wise, behavior-wise in the society, it will expose the bad leadership at the top. The problem is the bad leadership keeps on growing because we are also terrible at the bottom. The bottom is terrible, the top is terrible. So you combine together, it's a nation of
and then the top keeps recruiting from the bottom the same kind of leadership.
For example, for bribery and corruption to happen, two people must be involved. I asked the question, what if all Cameroonians decide that nobody will pay any bribe? Then the person at the other end will not collect. What if Cameroonians decide when you go to the government office and it's 8 a.m. and nobody is there? When the person is coming, somebody should hold them accountable. When they are conscious that you'll be held accountable, they are going to act. For example, if Cameroonians can wake up and Cameroonians are also too lazy, in quotes, to acquire certain information. I believe, for example, that the high bribery and corruption in the taxation department is because many Cameroonians, and especially business people, we have no idea about the tax laws and the finance laws of each year. So when a tax officer comes to your business and look at your business and just tell you what you're supposed to pay, you just go ahead and pay. Meanwhile, you have no idea as far as what the tax law says about your business and about what the activities that you're doing. But if Cameroonians and business people know what the tax law says about their business, about their activities. They will know exactly the amount of taxes to pay, and bribery and corruption will reduce. But since the tax officers know that
But they're dealing with some ignorant
know what the
person.
tax is all about, they capitalize on that, and they practice bribery and corruption. You see people paying taxes for something they have no idea about. As somebody said, we have lost our consciousness. We have lost our humanity. We have lost the real patriotism. That is the real issue that's going on. So we need to actually wake up as a people and make up our mind that we need to do what is right. I always
You are watching Voices of Africa, and connecting from Cameroon, Douala, Cameroon, is Dr. Joybert Javnyuy. Apparently, he's freezing on the phone. Maybe he needs to come back, exit and come back to give. Okay, he's back, right back on. So I'm bringing him into stream. Dr. Joybert Javnyuy. Yes, I do understand the difficulty in connecting from Africa to do a live show. I get it. I get it, but we're getting it done. We're getting it done.
Yeah.
Now, what would be your last word?
My last words is, I always say this, and I will emphasize this on this platform. If you are a true Cameroonian, if you are really, really a patriotic Cameroonian, or a patriotic African, or wherever you're watching this from, if you claim that you love your nation and you want a better nation for the next generation, for your children coming after you, you need to make sure that when you embark on anything, ask yourself the following questions. Is this morally okay? Is this ethically okay? Is this according to the laws of the land? If anything you are about to do is against these three questions, don't do it. You are contributing to kill the nation. You're about to pay bribe. Ask yourself, is this according to the laws of the land? And we need to wake up. We need to wake up and be conscious as citizens, and start speaking against certain things. The way Cameroonians spoke about this video, I wish that it is the same way that they will speak against those principals in government schools that has converted government schools to become their money-making machines, where they collect bribes for 100,000 francs to get kids in those schools and parents get to pay. I wish it is the same way that they start speaking against all these tax officers, immigration police at the airport that frustrate people to collect bribery and corruption. They should start speaking against those social ills. When we begin to expose these people, they'll be very conscious that, look, these people are now very conscious, and they understand that they will not want nothing but the best from us as a people. And be very conscious. You need to live. We are in a continent whereby we need to take a higher responsibility, a higher purpose. We have inherited a certain nation and a continent from our parents. It is our responsibility. It is our responsibility as a people to be committed and make sure that we leave a better generation, a better country to the coming generation. It should be our responsibility. If you leave the country the same way you met it, then something is definitely wrong somewhere.
I think we have to bring in Mr. Remarkable. I always call him Mr. Remarkable because he has this guy, when he starts talking about how we can transform Africa, how we can have the kind of Africa we'd want to see, it's like water gushing out of a broken pipe. It's just flowing and flowing and flowing and flowing. This is Dr. Javnyuy Joybert. And we've been having a flurry of comments from people online. Honestly, we have to come back again. I'm going to organize another show for Dr. Javnyuy Joybert to address this issue of how are we responsible for the problem that we complain about? How are we responsible for the problems across Africa that we complain about? Dirty cities, bribery and corruption, all those things. How are we responsible for the same thing that we are complaining about. So we'll be bringing Dr. Javnyuy Joybert. Apparently he has a lot to say. I want to thank Tata Priscilla, Aliyu Ibrahim, Ga Nkwan Jacob, who says he's known you right from Kumba in the southwest region of Cameroon. Kumbo, in the northwest region of Cameroon. We want to thank all of you now. As you can see, we're talking about the attitude of people, the reactions of people towards the lashing out by Samuel Eto'o, Cameroon's Football Federation president, against his players when they did so poorly against Burundi. Only 4 months to Qatar World Cup, but you can actually extend that to reflect, to apply where you are in Africa, whether you are in football or not, whether you're a business owner or not, whether you're an employee. Remember, I said, if you work for somebody, if you manage people, if you want to start a business, this content applies to you. Thank you, Dr. Javnyuy Joybert, for this phenomenal performance. Each time you come here, we don't want you to go, but at some point we've got to go. Every good thing has an end. Thank you again so much, sir, for coming on Chatnite Africa.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, fortunately, you don't have to be on Facebook to watch this broadcast. Tell your friends you can watch this broadcast on the internet, www.chatniteafrica.net. You can watch this broadcast on YouTube. It's now on YouTube. It was going on live on YouTube. It's on LinkedIn. It's on our Facebook broadcast page. We want to thank our producer thousands of miles away from where I am in Washington, D.C. That's Mr. Roger Fool, who has been producing this program live from the beautiful city of Lagos in Nigeria. I will be back this coming Sunday on Father's Day. Thank you, Nusa Diodene, for writing so profusely. We read a lot from you. We heard a lot from you. Thank you, Stephen Nwambo in Boya, Cameroon. This Sunday, Father's Day in the United States, we'll be bringing Reverend Dr. Caroline Vando to explain what Scripture means by calling a wife the helper to a husband. Do husbands even know that they need help? Do wives know that they're helpers? Why is some form of help rejected by husbands? So all these things, we'll look at all these perspectives to this topic. It'll be a wonderful show. This is coming up on Sunday. And we will have the musician Shines Empty. Shines Empty. That's her name on Facebook is Marie-Therese Mukuru. She'll be performing live also on the show on Father's Day. Ladies and gentlemen, that's how we wrap up this week's edition of Voices of Africa. Thank you for watching.
I'm coming back. I'm coming back. I'm coming to get down. I'm coming to dance, We're gonna dance, we're gonna get down, we're gonna party hard, we're gonna boogie woogie, and when we jam, it's out of sight. This song right here, it's dynamite. I'm ready.